Hello creative people, this is Catherine with aMotleyArt, and I have sketch 10 for She's Crafty mini pad class. This is the last sketch in the class. I will have a link to her video in the description, and I will put a playlist here card at the top of the screen for all of the different sketches that I did for the last 10 weeks. So as you can see, the sketch for this week ended up having a lot of strips behind the photo mats, and that is great because I have a whole lot of scraps. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my scraps, and I'm just going to randomly cut out a bunch of strips, and then I'm going to see how I like them on the background. So in case this is the first video that you've caught from this class with me, I've done 10 different sketches, and 6 of them I used the same 6x6 pad, which is Recollections Valentine's Day from 2013, and I used different backgrounds, but I used 2.5 12x12s for my different background papers. All of them were double-sided, so this particular 6x6 that I'm doing today, it has the same background as what I did in the sketch last week. And then the 2 sketches before that also was from the same paper, but it's the other side of the paper. So I was able to get through several pieces of paper, so that's great. I also have used a bunch of this 6x6 pad, which I love as well. And I will see about probably trying to do a few more sketches, see how much more paper I can use up from this pad. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start laying these out, and I'm just going to try to kind of get the visual that I'm looking for with the different patterns and the different colors. And then once I've gotten that, I will start chopping them down, because with this particular sketch, you kind of want your different strips to be different sizes. It looks nicer that way than making them all the same size. So I wanted to know which strips I was using first before I started chopping them down. So I'm going to go through and do that now. I end up, once I get all the sizes the way that I like, I just go ahead and start gluing those down. I do not ink any of these strips, but you absolutely could. If you did this sketch, you could ink around each one of these strips, and then it would pop them out from the background a little bit more. But I actually like the idea of these being subtle and it not really drawing a lot of attention to the background itself. Sometimes you want some of that background to pop out, but other times you just want it to be some subtle color and some subtle patterns back there. So that's really what I chose to focus on for this particular layout. And I really do like the way that it came out. And when I started to glue these down, this is when I tried to get them to be a little bit straighter, but I wasn't being real precise with it. I never took out a ruler. I just did my best, just eyeballed it to make them as straight as I could, but I'm not worried about it, because if they are off a little bit, I think it looks cute. I think it brings a little whimsy to this particular type of sketch, but this type of pattern. So I am not worried about it. I'm not going to stress over it, and we're just going to keep on moving. So it takes me a couple of minutes to get these all adhered with my Tombow glue, and then I'm going to move on to popping up the photo mat. So with these 6 different sketches, because they all have a similar theme, I definitely could put them all together and use them in one photo album or one mini album, and I am thinking about maybe doing that. So I want to keep certain elements the same so that they just go together really nicely. So all of the other photo mats were popped up, so I decided to go ahead and pop this one up as well. Just keep that element the same throughout the whole, with all the different sketches. It also helps to keep the photo mat on the same level as the wood veneer that I end up using on this sketch as well. And I got to use a bunch of my wood veneer that I had sitting for quite a while, so I'm really happy about that. I'm glad that I got through so much of that, and it definitely makes me want to keep pulling that out and keep using that up. So that's one of the fun things about doing the sketches like this, where you sort of pull together a bunch of elements into a kit and then work off of that kit, is it just helps you to use up some of the things that have kind of been sitting in your stash for a while. Because, you know, it's great to have a stash, so when you're creating, you do have elements on hand and you don't have to worry about not having enough things in order to make something that you want to make. But at the same time, if you keep buying to put things in your stash and you never use it, then all you're doing is collecting, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a collector. People do that. But I want to use up my stash. I want to be able to continuously bring things in and out of it, because then you just get these really lovely projects, and it just makes me feel good that I've been able to use the elements that I really love. But then it also makes me feel less guilty when I want to go buy some new elements, something that's a little bit different. So in the sketch, they had a lot of their embellishments coming down in a column, and I really liked that. So I decided that's what I was going to do, is just have most of my embellishments come down the column of the photo mat, and it really helps draw your eye to the photo mat as well. It just makes that such a huge focal point, but it also still leaves some areas, so if I want to do some journaling later, I have a place where I can add in some journaling. So I like that as well. I'm not a heavy journaler, but you know, it is nice to be able to put a little bit something there once you've chosen your photo, to remind you of exactly when you took the photo and what was happening and who was in it, if there are people in it. And I am thinking about maybe going out there and grabbing some pictures from Facebook to put on these pages. So once I got that all done, I realized that when I looked back at the sketch, there was a little bit of an embellishment cluster down in the lower left hand corner, and I thought, oh, you know, that would be great to kind of fill out this sketch, because it did feel like there needed to be at least one more element on it. And so I chose a pink heart that I still had cut from a previous week, and then I brought out a wood veneer banner as well, and I had previously stamped on one of these banners on one of a previous sketch, and so I decided that I wanted to go ahead and do that again. So I used a stamp that says I love you on it, and I used some pink ink to put it on there, and I just think it goes so well with this layout, and I just really love the look of the writing on top of the wood veneer. So that is the layout. As you can see, I also used a bunch of the enamel dots on here as well. So I thought I would just kind of show a little bonus here, and I had noticed that I had cut out a 2.5 by 3.5 ATC size card with this one particular paper, so I decided to make a little ATC with some of my leftover items that I haven't used up yet. So this is another way that you can use up some of those scraps once you're kind of near the end of using your kit. And so I went and added here one of the hearts, and I'm just putting on some of the glitter pen just to make it a little bit shinier. And again, like I said, I'm addicted now. I am going to be stamping on those banners for the wood veneer. I just really love the look of it. I just think it makes the banner look so nice. And so I add that there at the top, and I'm going to pull out some more enamel dots, because that is definitely one of the things I was like, I want to try to use up as many of these enamel dots as I possibly can. I still do have some red ones on there, but I used up all of the pink ones, and I felt like it just needed one more piece of bling, so I pulled out some bling that I have from close to my heart and added it on top. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope you've subscribed to my channel. Please put in the comment any questions that you have about these sketches, and I hope that you can have a creative day this day. And we will see you in the next video. Bye now.